list, their to-do list, let's do a marathon. Though very few people that I have ever met says let's do 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents. And so today I'm joined again by Kelly Ann Jenkins, who was with us 2 weeks ago as we start our Wow Women Wednesday series. However, technology does what technology does sometimes, right, Kelly Ann?
Yeah, I decided to cut out.
Which, oh, now Siri's talking to me. Oh, I said technology. The watch is coming at me. Skynet will be here soon. I know, I know. Okay. So you shared with us there were some hurdles that you faced in your travels. So if you're just coming in and you didn't watch 2 weeks ago, stay with us live, talk to us, comment, chat, tell us what's going on, ask Kelly Ann some questions. But she had shared her journey and got about halfway through or partway through, and so we're here to hear the rest of her story. I'll put the link up in just a moment for the YouTube for the first half of the interview. But I think last time we were talking, Kelly Ann, you had taken off from Madrid and landed in Brazil.
Yeah, so we had landed in Brazil. We were short on time because we'd lost a day in Cape Town due to logistics. So we now had to run Madrid, Brazil, and Miami all within 2 days. So we had landed in Brazil. We were rushed. It was the middle of the summer there. We ran starting right after sunrise. So for those of you who live in Florida like I do, just think peak summer humidity, heat, sun's on you. There was no shade. It was pretty brutal hot run. And the race director had given us a shorter cutoff time because he wanted to get us to Miami to start within the time frame. So I finished the race. He pulls me aside and he's like, "Look, I'm pulling people off the course early. I'm sending buses to the airport. Go to the bus, get to the airport. You don't have time for a shower." So there was a group of us, like we had wipes, like we're wiping down. I changed into dry clothes. The good news is that I was going directly to Miami at this point, so I didn't have to go overnight, but it was about an 8-hour flight. So yeah, we were just changing quickly, grabbing food in the airport, and then heading to Miami, which was our last race of the 7.
So when you landed in Miami, was it like, oh, we're almost done, or oh, I still have to get up for one more marathon?
It was really surreal when we landed in Miami. It was probably about 10:30 p.m. by the time we got off the plane, got to the start line. It was just before midnight. So originally we were supposed to start in Miami at 4 p.m. I had a whole group of friends that were there waiting for me, and most of the runners had friends and family there. So, and they'd been waiting all afternoon. We kept updating them as we knew when we were delayed, things like that. But so it was just before midnight. When we get to the start line, the crowd is crazy. They have glow sticks, they have signs, they have noisemakers, and that was really cool because most of the other races we ran alone with it just being our group. So with it being the final one, people flew from all over the world to be there to watch their runners finish, and it was really exciting. We got off that bus and it was just like the energy was crazy and the race director was rushing us. He's like, "We have to start, we're going straight to the start, we're going straight to the start." And so I'm trying to put my watch on and put the last, like my body glide and anything else last minute I needed on myself. I forgot to put the electrolytes in my water as I was walking to the start because I was in such a hurry. But we like got off the bus, walked straight to the start line, and he started the race. So we really didn't have time to think about it. But it was really overwhelming having, my friends. And I mentioned last time that I was running this for my sister who had been diagnosed with MS. And she surprised me and came to the finish line. So I
Aww.
saw her there just before I started. So it was a pretty emotional start.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. So, so how was it when you finally crossed the finish line?
It was the best feeling. I was really lucky. I called my friends ahead of time and I told them, this is the last race. I really need some support. I'm tired of me. And two of my friends were there running right next to me, which was absolutely incredible. And then, so we had 5 laps in Miami. It was right out and back on South Beach. It was late at night, so everything was shut down. The local race organizer had to shut down the finish line because he didn't want to get in trouble for having an event after midnight. But they were still there. We just didn't have all the signage and the tables and the tents and all that. So it was 5 laps around South Beach. And every lap I had a friend either ride their bike next to me or run with me. And so that made it better. I do have to say, I think it was lap 3. So, and this was probably 2:30 in the morning. I was starving, and I came around to start lap 4, and my sister was sitting right by the race start with a whole pizza. And I just looked at her. I was like, "Are you seriously eating a pizza right now?" I was like, "I don't even," she just started laughing. I was like, "I don't even want to talk to you." We kind of laughed about it. And then I went on for my last 2 laps. But it was an absolute, like, the best feeling. My adrenaline was just insane. I think I finished the race at 4:30 in the morning, and I went back to try and shower and take a nap, get some sort of sleep, but it didn't happen. I was just so excited. So we kind of took a shower and then went straight through the day, woke up all my friends and made them come join me for breakfast.
You're like, if I just ran 7 marathons on 7 continents, 7 days, you can get your butt out of bed, even though you stayed up last night.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we do have Matt Wilkerson. He's listening in on the call, spying in, saying hi. So thanks, Matt, for joining us. And if anybody else out there has questions or comments for Kelly Ann, please do share those in the chat. So what are some of the lessons learned? I imagine you could write a book about all the things that you learned in doing this process. But what's 1 or 2 lessons learned that you took away from this experience?
So many things. And I think the biggest lesson for me, and it's funny because I talked about this with a few groups. Like, I love speaking. I love any opportunity I get to talk to, business owners, especially. And one of the things I was talking about with this was a lot about the goal setting, but also how I learned through the process of training that sometimes it wasn't necessarily about the goal, but what you learned along the journey. And I learned so much on this trip. But I think one of the biggest things for me was it was really a lesson in surrendering control. And it's something that, I've been working on myself as someone who's pretty type A. I like to think I have control over more things than I do. And when things didn't go my way in the past, that would present some challenges for me, and I'd get frustrated and stressed out, sometimes like angry, and pretty much every emotion you could possibly have, I would deal with because I was trying to control things that I couldn't control. And this trip, really the race director told us from the initial race briefing that this was the point where we surrendered control, just focus on running and nothing else. And everything that could have gone wrong from a logistical standpoint did. And I realized at the end of the day, it didn't matter. We'd still come together as a group to run these 7 marathons on 7 continents. We started that last marathon within that 168 hours, within the 7 days. And even with everything going wrong, maybe it didn't look the way we thought it would. Maybe we thought we would finish earlier. Maybe I thought I would run faster. I thought I would eat more. I thought I would get more sleep. All these things, at the end of the day, we were able to get through it together. We became a really close group, and I learned that I didn't have to stress out about every little thing, because even if every little detail didn't go according to plan, we still stayed along the same path. And even if the path changed, we still ended up getting to where we were going or where we needed to be.
So do you think you'll ever do it again?
I would absolutely do it again if I had the opportunity to. Yeah, so this is the crazy thing about our group. There were 52 of us from 16 different countries running. And I think on this trip, 36% of the runners had run it before.
Really?
36% were returning runners. Huh. I think we had three or four people who had done it for a third time. And then one of the most inspiring things, the oldest guy who ran with us was 80 years old. And this was his second time running the event, which was absolutely incredible. I can't even imagine running a marathon, at 80, and he was just so inspiring and so uplifting. And he knew all of our names, and he would cheer for us and we'd pass him on the course, and it just so cool to see that he was out here for a second time. I think he said he did it when he was 76.
Oh my
At the
gosh.
time, he was the oldest to have finished, and the race director asked if he would do it again, and he said, when I turn 80, I will do it again, and he did.
So is he planning on doing it again in another 4 or 5 years? My God.
I don't know. I haven't asked him, but if he does, I would absolutely want to be on that trip.
Well, Matt shared, and this is this isn't about the 80-year-old man, but this is about you, Kelly Ann. Very inspiring story. Love your passion. Yeah. I mean, that's just, I can't even fathom, like, I don't want to do a 5K. Running just is not my thing. But the idea of doing that, how much dedication do you think it took? How much was preparation? How much was it in the head?
It was definitely both. It definitely needed to prepare for an event like that, but so much of it is mental. And I was supposed to run this event in November of 2021, and it kept being moved because of COVID. So staying in shape physically for that long was the hardest challenge. It was so easy for me just to not want to keep running, not want to do the training. And I really, like anything else, I made it a habit. For me, my running and my training was a part of every day, just like brushing my teeth. It was not something I thought about. No matter whether I was traveling, no matter what my work schedule looked like, my run was absolutely happening. I mean, of course, if I were sick or my body felt run down, I needed to listen to that. But from an everyday standpoint, that run was part of my schedule. There were many, many days when I was up at 2:30 in the morning to get a 3-hour run in before my BNI meeting on Fridays. So.
And most people would think the BNI meeting on Fridays is early, starting, getting there about 7. And here you are. Yeah, I'm a BNI. I've run 3 hours already today. What have you been doing with your lazy self?
Yeah.
So again, for those of y'all that missed the first half of this interview, here is the link, youtube.com/live/all that stuff. So you can hit pause while you're watching this and go to YouTube. I will put it in the show notes on the YouTube video for this one. Now, I know you mentioned to us last time, but I do want to ask you again, and you mentioned a little bit about your sister, because not only did you run, you did a little fundraising. So you can tell us about the foundation as well as what the money goes to, please.
Sure. Yeah. So right when I'd signed up for this race in 2020, it must have been within the same week, my sister was diagnosed with MS. And I thought that this would be a great opportunity for me to raise money for MS patients and really try and do some good and raise awareness. And so I started doing a lot of research on charities related to MS, and there are quite a few really major charities out there, and they're great organizations. But as I was talking to my sister and talking to the friends that she made, like through her doctors and going through her treatments, I realized that one of the toughest things for someone dealing with MS and for their family is it's the everyday things. It's the excess medical bills. Even with really good insurance, some of these treatments cost, upwards of $65,000 a year. And even with good insurance, some of the patients are paying $2,500 out of pocket every time. And that's something that a lot of people just don't have the extra money for. But on top of the medical bills, it's things like, someone has a flare up and they're so tired, they can't clean the house, or they have trouble driving. And so what I wanted to do was, on a more local level, start a foundation where the money goes directly back to the patients. And we're using the money to pay excess medical bills, to pay for services that the patients might need around the house, things like a cleaning service or a transportation service. And right now, my sister is actually in the process of working with one of her physicians to kind of find out which of the patients have financial like needs and see if we can help them directly. So that's really what we're doing with the foundation. It is called the Foundation for When MS Happens. We want MS Happens for short. And you can find us at mshappens.org and donate online.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing. I remember back when my mom was sick and she was on a respirator, and our power bill was almost $1,000 because she was on it all the time. And yeah, there's medical insurance to cover other stuff, but there's so much that people need. We were lucky and able to do that, but imagine if somebody needed something like that and they can't afford it or they can't get for their treatment. So that's really amazing, the energy and effort that y'all are going to help people local that need the help.
Yeah.
So Kelly Ann, I think that brings us about to the end of this small part of your journey. I mean, we're just talking a 7-day journey, but how many miles did y'all keep track of how many miles you went? I know miles that you ran, but like overall, how much the travel took?
I should know that. I can probably pull the information. I know it was 54 hours of flying time. Wow. So I can go from kind of give you an idea of how much time we were in the air. And then as far as just kind of, so 54 hours of travel time that's in the air. And then for me, my total run time was, I could probably estimate it. It was probably about 30 hours, probably about 30 hours running.
So over half of the week, you were either running or on the airplane.
Or in the air. Yeah. I mean, we slept on the plane. That was about it. So.
Well, I want to say thank you so much, Kelly Ann, for sharing. I remember you talking years and years ago about wanting to do this. It's so cool that it finally happened, even after being delayed, and that you're able to take this to help raise awareness. So y'all, please go to mshappens.org to learn more about the organization and what you can do to help. Anything else, Kelly Ann, you want to leave before we say good night or good afternoon?
No, I mean, I just really appreciate any support we can get at MS Happens. Feel free to reach out to me. And you can contact me through the website or on social media, however. And I love to share answer any questions you have about the journey or about the organization.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much. Thanks y'all for watching this, and we will see you